Movie Cinema, the annual Halloween movie event where I review all nothing but scary movies all month long. I'm your host, 3D Jake, and today's first horror film in the lineup is Hocus Pocus 2 from 1993. Actually, it's 2022. Hocus Pocus 2 is a sequel to the 1993 film that was directed by Kenny Ortega. This time around, this movie is directed by Ann Fletcher and executive produced by Adam Shankman. Shankman was originally supposed to direct this movie, but of course had to do Enchanted 2, so Ann Fletcher took over. I'm not really familiar with Ann Fletcher. I know that I believe she directed Hot Pursuit, but I don't know other movies. I'm blanking at the top of my head. But I mean, she did do a good job with this movie, though. And I do really like Adam Shankman. He's a great director. I can't wait to see what he does in Enchanted 2, which is called Disenchanted now. This movie is essentially a sequel to the first movie that was made in 1993. This time around, the Sanderson sisters are back, and, you know, when three young girls who want to be witches so bad, like the Black Flame Candle, and summon the Sanderson sisters, and hilarity ensues with them trying to, you know, get the magic book so that way they can, instead of this time murdering children, they want to get the ultimate power so that way they can be all unstoppable. So when the sun comes up, they won't turn into stone and dissolve like they did in the last movie. I really like Hocus Pocus. Hocus Pocus. I've watched Hocus Pocus every year. I'm a big fan of the first movie. Every year it's on Halloween, I have to watch it. It's one of those movies that just, you know, it's one you have to kind of watch around Halloween time. You know, that and The Addams Family are like there's three movies you got to watch around Halloween time. You know, you got to watch Hocus Pocus, you got to watch Halloween, and you got to watch The Addams Family. Those are the three movies you kind of got to. And Nightmare Before Christmas, but that to me is like, maybe. But, you know, that's the main movies you got to watch around Halloween time. And so I watch this every year. And, you know, I really enjoy this movie. I really do. You know, I watched the first movie. I really enjoyed the first movie a lot. And I went to go see this. I lowered my expectation because I've just been having a really bad leak when it comes to horror films. Because I've seen like 4 of them, and I've been disappointed with all 4 movies I saw this week. So I'm like, Hocus Pocus, please don't be bad. Just please be good. And so I watched this, and I'm like, you know what? It wasn't that bad. You know, like, I didn't love it. Is it better than the first film? Hell no. But is it good? Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. Like, I mean, if it was like a great test grade, I would say it's probably a 65. You know, like, you know, that's like a D now. And so I was like, you know, it's a D plus movie. I mean, you know, like, based on a grade in which that's my movie grade, but that's just like if I was going to grade as a test, a piece of paper. But I mean, like, I did enjoy a lot of things on this. Like, you know, I did enjoy that they brought back the original Sanderson sisters, because I know a long time, every year there'd be a news update, and I would always read the headline and then read the article, and I'd be like, okay, so they're bringing this, okay, so they're not going to remake it, they're going to remake it, now they're going to make a sequel, and Tina Fey's going to be involved, and I'm like, no, Tina Fey's not going to be involved, and I'm like, it just kept going round and round and round, where I'm like, okay. And so I'm a big fan of that first movie, and I was really hoping like they would bring back the original cast, and they did bring back the original 3 witches. You know, they brought back Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Midler, and they also brought back Doug Jones as the zombie Billy Butcherson. And I know what you're gonna think, Billy Butcherson. Yes, Billy Butcher, like in The Boys. Yeah, I thought that too. I was like, Billy Butcher. I was expecting Carl Urban to show up and go, "Oi, let's go kill some soups." And I was like, I would have been laughed so hard if that would have happened. I really do like the plot about them trying to resurrect the witches. I do kind of like the fact that it doesn't do exactly a rehash of the first movie, but I don't like that they're trying to find like an ultimate book that could be ultimately powerful. I just thought that was kind of a cliche thing. I do like that there is a song though, instead of doing like I Put a Spell on You, I was hoping they would, but at the same time, why do we need the same exact songs? We got that in the first movie. If you really want those songs, go watch the first movie. So I really like that they did 2 songs in the first movie, which technically was, they had one song together, and then one was Sarah Jessica Parker saying, "Come Little Children." I was she kind of sings it like a little bit at the beginning, but you don't really hear her sing that rest of the movie, so I was kind of bummed about that. You know, I was kind of hoping that the plot, and spoilers by the way, if I was kind of hoping that Sarah Jessica Parker was going to try to lure all the other children and murder them like in the first movie. But instead, you know, you can't really do that now, especially on a Disney movie, because that's kind of outdated. They're like, we're not going to do a plot where they want to murder children because these are icon characters now. And it would have been like, some people was like insensitive of that. And so, of course, now they're just going to try to find the ultimate power, which I'm like, come on, really? Like I just thought that was, I kind of wanted that aspect, but still, but, you know, and because I mean, that was the first movie. The first movie was, okay, well, she's going to murder. Like, you know, they summoned all the children, and so now once they kill all the children, they're gonna be great, powerful by sunrise. Instead, they're finding like the spell book, and also, the spell book has an opinion now. Like, I hate when they try to retcon things in the movie, where they're like, okay, like Jeepers Creepers 3, the truck in the first the truck in Jeepers Creepers had no supernatural element to it whatsoever. But so in 3, it's like a magical truck that can do all kind of things without the creeper even being there. And which is stupid. And then so they kind of did it with Hocus Pocus, you know, Hocus Pocus 2, where it's like the book who had no power whatsoever other than when you open it and it makes a giant beacon. Other than that. But in this one, when you open the book up, oh, not only that, it can literally, like, you know, have a decision of its own whether it wants to go with this witches or these witches. And I'm just like, are you serious? Also, I want to talk about, okay, I love that scene, the one way or another scene where she controls the flash mob, where they're like, when she starts jumping and they jump with her, and it's kind of, it also reminded me of the Lonely Island SNL sketch, the music video where it's called Go Kindergarten. I just kept thinking of Paul Rudd and P. Diddy, like when Lonely Island's telling them to do all this stuff. That kind of reminded, because they even moved their body like that. I was like, it just reminded me of that Go Kindergarten music video from Lonely Island, where they were like, I was like, are you serious? This is great. I was like, this is great. And I really do like, the only thing that made me go fuck you to the scene was, there's a scene in the movie where one of the witches, and there's a couple watching Hocus Pocus 1 on TV, and I'm like, are you serious? They're watching Hocus Pocus 1? So you're trying to say this is a movie within a movie? Nope, they're not. They're just, because they reference the first movie. Like, literally, there's a scene where you see a character walk into the cemetery and they see the events of the end of the first movie happening. So this is happening in real world, but they're watching the first movie, which I think is ridiculous. And I'm just like, are you serious? And apparently, spoilers, again, spoilers. I've said spoilers a couple times now, but like, spoilers. Thor Birch was supposed to be in this movie, who played the little girl in the first movie. She was supposed to be in the movie, but scheduled. She was supposed to help these girls fight the Sanderson sisters. But of course, she couldn't do it because she was shooting the Wednesday Addams show, and then, you know, so that's why she couldn't do it. And so she's like, I wish I could have. And you know, if they said if there's a part 3 in a heartbeat, she said she would be there. So I'm hoping this movie's successful, only so we can get part 3 with Danny. That's all I'm hoping for. Fingers crossed. Come on, Adam Shankman. Come on, Ann. You can do this. You know, everybody go watch Hocus Pocus 2 so we can get 3. You know, I really like certain aspects of the movie. Like, I really like Sam Richardson's character. I've always liked Sam Richardson as an actor. You know, I like him in a bunch of stuff like, he was great in Mike and Dave, and he was great in Neighbors, and there's a couple of other projects I'm forgetting. Like, you know, this is a Comedy Central show that I liked him on. And so I really like him as an actor, and he's really great in everything he does. So I really liked him as the bookshop keeper, the witch, you know, he runs the cauldron, the sister's house. He runs that place now, and so when they come, so when the girls go see him, you know, and he kind of tricks them into lighting the black flame candle because he wants to summon the Sanderson sisters there, but they kind of like have their own ideas, and they make him really a lackey. And so because they're planning on killing him, like once they get all the stuff they need. And I really do like that aspect of it, to where he's like, you know, he's not, I kind of suspected he was going to be the villain, like the human villain, like, okay, the witches are the villain, but he's going to be probably the other villain. And I kind of like, there's things that I was predicting that did not go my way, and I like when I don't get things right, because I'm like, if I get it right, then that means I just don't care about this movie because it's so predictable. And so, like, for instance, I thought, you know, the girl from the witch at the beginning that gives them the book, I thought she was going to be the real villain out of the movie, like she was going to show up throughout the movie. And then at the end, the Sanderson sisters would have to team up with the little girls to defeat the witch. And I'm like, if that's the case, I don't want to watch the rest of this movie. But that wasn't the case at all. And I'm like, thank you. And also, I was expecting like the mayor, because if you know the mayor in the movie, played by the great Tony Hale, he literally like is the Reverend, like he's the great grandson of the Reverend from the beginning of the movie. And so I was expecting him to be an asshole, because like, oh, he's probably the human villain then. And then, of course, when I saw him, I was like, okay. And then he was the nicest guy in the movie. Like, I'm like, this guy's nice. He's so nice. Like, literally, he waits in line. He could have been like, I'm the mayor. Let me get my candy apple. Instead, he waits in line for his turn. And he never gets that candy apple he wants. And I'm like, I felt bad for him. I was like, dude, I mean, he literally could walk up there and say, hey, I'm the mayor. I want my apple. Instead, he's like, you know what? And he's like, okay, I have to go do something. Can you please hold my spot? And the guy does it, and he's like, you know, like, oh. I mean, he's such a nice guy, and I'm like, I'm glad they went with that direction. They didn't go like, he's an evil guy or something, has a real estate scheme or something, you know. And I was like, I really like that aspect of it. You know, there are some great things I do like about this movie. I do like, you know, that I think the lead female characters are strong. I think the Sanderson, which, you know, all the marketing, they've been really getting sideshowed because, you know, the focus and the marketing's been the Sanderson sisters. And I understand why, because, you know, this is like a movie that came out in 1993, and now they're reprising our roles. And I mean, it's a big event movie, and I really think people would like this movie. I mean, it's not the best Hocus Pocus movie, but there are a lot of great things. The acting, I think, is strong. I think, really, a lot of the characters and the side characters. There's a dumb jock that I thought was dumb. This guy is just like, he's so dumb in this movie, and he's the only, I think, male character in the movie besides Sam Richardson and the zombie Billy that literally is like, you know, like he's the only character really that has like, you know, there's like the mayor, there's Billy, and the, you know, this dumb jock guy and Sam Richardson. The jock guy is an idiot, just a pure idiot, you know. And I will say, I like that they use practicality with the flying effects. Like they pick them up on brooms, it's actually practical because they use wire work. And I like, there's one scene that I really love when like the girl, they're standing by a bus and the witch just comes by and grabs her and carries her with her. I thought that was so good. I like, that is great. I mean, there's like 3 scenes I really like in this movie. I really like, you know, the scene. I like, you know, I like the one way or another scene, and I like the when the witches grab, you know, the girl. And I also really like, there's a couple of jump scenes in the movie where, like, you know, the girls, they're performing when the witches first arrive, they're performing. And so they're like, what are they performing for? And they go, you! And I was like, whoa, guys, that got me. I was like, because, you know, it comes out of nowhere. Then, like, because they're running, and they're like, who are they performing for? And then when they just jump out, they go, you! Like, you know, I was like, that was like, and they do that twice in the movie. Like, once they're in Walgreens. Yeah, they're in Walgreens, by the way. And then, of course, when they turn, they go, the other one is like, where you going? Like, you know, it's like, there's just those 2 scenes that got me. The first one mostly, but the second one I thought was fine. But I was like, those 3 scenes are probably my favorite scenes in the entire film. Other than that, I feel like the movie is a weaker story compared to the first film, and I feel like if like, for instance, if Thor Birch would come, I think, because it feels like there's something missing, and like also, it's supposed to be about like 3 witches that were supposed to represent the 3 Sanderson sisters, but one witch is not even with them throughout the movie. She doesn't even come until like the last 20 minutes, last 10, 20 minutes. It's one because she's hanging out with her boyfriend, and they keep trying to call her, and so mostly it's just these other 2 girls running around. And so that's really it. And also, some parts of the movie feel cheap. Like when they're in the Walgreens or when they're flying up there, like when they're not using practical work, it just feels like they're on a green screen. And just some parts, like when they're above, like the mob, I thought that scenes looked great. But then when they're just like, you know, flying up and everything, it just kind of looked cheaper. And some parts even feel like it's on the volume or something. And I'm like, this just looks cheap. You know, and I do like most of it. I kind of wish, though, like, and there are some art, there is some textural culture, you know, things that I thought was kind of, like, for instance, the shop in the first Hocus Pocus, now there's buildings around it, and I'm like, that was an abandoned place. Like, did they just build in a different location now? Because apparently you could stay in that as a B&B right now. So I'm like, why wouldn't they just go there and shoot in the same location, you know? I mean, I assure it was probably cheaper to shoot in Canada or something, but still. I thought that was great too. I would have thought it'd been cool to go to the exact same location, but you know, that's just me. I do kind of wish that they would have brought the original cast back and they could team up with the original cast to stop the Sandersons. Because at the end, I kind of felt like the Sandersons were not a big threat. You know, I feel like that at the end, it just kind of felt like, I hate Hollywood's been doing this for like a while now, and I'm getting sick of it. They keep trying to give the villains of the movie heroes. Make them heroes. Stop making them heroes. They're monsters. They deserve to die. You can't get... I mean, seriously, what are you going to do? Make Michael Myers the hero next when he kills... You know, are you going to show up? Is Halloween Ends going to show up where Michael Myers has to team up with Laurie Strode to kill someone else? If that's the case, I'm going to start ripping up theater seats. I'm like, ah, ah! But no, I'm not going to do that. But still, I'd be angry. But I'm just saying, like, come on. Stop giving villains heroic arcs. Okay? Stop humanizing them. They're villains. I mean, you can humanize them. Just stop them trying to make them like stop them trying to redeem them at the end. They don't need to be redeemed. They're villains. Okay? You know, they went on that path. They deserve to go finish on that path. They don't deserve to be like, well, I'm evil, but yeah, I learned from my ways now. I'm like, that's the biggest thing I hated about that movie, this movie. You know, and I mean, it's not a bad movie, but is it something I'd rewatch now? No, I probably wouldn't rewatch it now. Maybe next Halloween I might rewatch it if I've watched all the other Halloween stuff I wanted to watch. I would say this one is like Home Sweet Home Alone. Is it something I'll rewatch again this year? No. But if it was on next year, would I possibly, if after I'm bored and there's nothing else I wanted to watch, I probably might, if it's on TV or if it's on, I might check it out. Probably, yeah. If I have to give this movie a grade, I would probably give it a solid C+. Thank you so much for watching.
That's not 6 feet under.
Stop! I am a good zombie!